Hello, Tim from Fair Play now on the 16th of April 2024. So, when I went to the event I've been talking about over the weekend, I picked up a latest copy of the Light newspaper here, issue 44, which I believe has literally only come off the press in the last sort of 2 or 3 days. So that's the latest issue. It's been a very long time since I've given these guys a shout out. But I can't recommend it highly enough. If you've been to any of the marches or pretty much any freedom event, you've probably seen this and picked up a copy or two yourself. But if you haven't, I highly recommend it. And they also do an online version as well of all the issues. Issue 44 is on there as well, I think now, at the Light paper.co.uk, I think it is, but I'll leave a link to it in the description box below so you can go and check it out. But let's just have a look at how it's defined by Wikipedia, that extremely reliable source of information. Yeah, righto. But anyway, let's see what they say. The Light is a self-published monthly British far-right and conspiracy theory newspaper founded by Darren Nesbitt on 27th of September 2020. Which claims that the Lurgy-demic was a hoax. So that's what they say about it. And there is that sort of phrase, isn't it? Far-right conspiracy theorist, which the mainstream loves to use to describe us. But it's, and do you feel like you're far-right? Or that you're sort of rubbing shoulders with far-right people? Because I don't. And I can honestly tell you, having probably met more people in the freedom movement than average, considering all of the marches I've been on, all of the events I've attended and filmed, all of the people at the stand in the parks and everything who I've met and talked to, I've yet to see a single sort of stiff-armed kind of salute, and I've yet to hear a single Sieg Heil as well, because it just doesn't happen. And I describe a lot of people in the freedom movement as sort of left-wing, really, but there again, we all know, don't we, how meaningless that term far right is. Basically, I would define it as anyone who's not far left is far right, according to these people. People like Wikipedia and the mainstream media and the BBC, etc. It's so meaningless that you can just sort of say that, I think. And conspiracy theorist is also an extremely meaningless term. But anyway, the reason why I sort of talk about the Light, or I've raised it, I'll just bear with me while I get onto the right sort of page. Not in this issue, 44, but in the last issue of the Light newspaper, issue 43, in the letters section, they actually published a letter by someone of the opposite viewpoint of us, well, certainly me, and probably you if you're watching this. They published a letter by a mainstream guy, and well, the first question I'd ask you is, would you see the likes of the Daily Mail or the Daily Telegraph, etc., or any of the mainstream newspapers publishing a letter by someone of our viewpoint? Probably not. And yet here is this supposedly extremist newspaper saying or publishing sort of the opinions of everybody. That's what they say in their letters section. The opinions of everybody are welcome, because otherwise you're looking at censorship. And yet that's not a viewpoint shared by mainstream newspapers. So really, you have to ask yourself the question, who are the real extremists? kind of the light newspaper or the mainstream who heavily censors their content and only promotes a particular agenda. I would describe that as more extremist and more in support of kind of totalitarianism personally. But anyway, I want to just spend the rest of this issue looking at this letter sent into the light, this of an opposing viewpoint, and I'm just going to read the first bit of it. I'm not going to read the whole thing, otherwise it will take a bit too long. But let's just have a look at this. Dear The Light, I have had one of your papers come through my letterbox. I gave it a thorough read as I love a good bit of fiction, but I struggled to stomach the insane and dangerous theories being promoted. It reminds of the recent MAGA rally where they all believe the election was stolen despite overwhelming evidence, because that's how human psychology works. I believe the easiest way to disprove theories such as the Lurgy conspiracy is that it would have been impossible to keep it all a secret. Imagine how many people over different countries, religions, ethnicities, etc. would have been required to stay silent. Is enormous. So that's what I'm going to read out there, and that's quite a common argument against us and what we believe, isn't it? But I've got just two words, two separate words to reply to that: hierarchy and compartmentalization. So in order to carry out a conspiracy successfully, you don't need to infiltrate thousands and thousands of people and get them to go along with your conspiracy. All you need to do is get to really, well, we all know how pretty much every organisation in the world is kind of arranged in a sort of a pyramid shape, with the sort of top guy at the top, and then there's a few people under them, and then a few more people under them, and then it goes or down to the base of the pyramid where it's where you get the basic workers, and there's thousands of them. Well, all you need to do, and I suspect this is why most, or pretty much every organisation in the world is organised in this sort of pyramidical, hierarchical sort of way of organisation. And really all you need to do is get to the first, the top person right at the pinnacle of the pyramid, and maybe not even all of the people in the second tier, maybe just like a majority of them, and then you've captured the whole organisation. And that's all you need to do, because everybody else down the pyramid aren't going to question what's coming down from the top, or if they do, they're highly unlikely, especially if they're experiencing lots of pressure and maybe threats and all of that sort of thing. They're highly unlikely to speak out for fear of losing their job, their income, and which might be extremely good levels of income, and they're not going to lose that, throw that away, and then perhaps sort of look at losing their lifestyle altogether if they can't find an alternative job, because they may well be sort of blackballed, as it were, and unable to get kind of anything more than a very sort of low paid job in the future. So that is one reason. And then the other thing, compartmentalization, is only the people at the top, that is the people involved with the conspiracy, see the whole picture. Everybody else on the way down are sort of, they don't see the full picture, the big picture. They're just concentrating on their own little specific departments and the brief they've been given, the job they've been given, and they don't look sort of either way. It's almost like racehorses in a race, with the blinkers on like that, so they can't see what's happening in that lane there or that lane there with the other horses. They're just concentrating on the sort of track ahead, and that is what I mean about when I say about compartmentalisation, because if you're too busy concentrating on your job and you're not looking around and talking to other people who aren't in your immediate vicinity, you're going to be very unlikely to start putting things together, putting sort of jigsaw puzzle pieces together and coming up with the full picture. So I think that is how these things, such as the Lurgy conspiracy, are pulled off. It's not that you have to have thousands and thousands and thousands of people worldwide involved in it. You only have to have a tiny handful of people, maybe only a few dozen people really, across the world who are involved, and then everybody else just go along with it, because either they don't know they're involved with the conspiracy, or if they suspect there might be some weird something or other going on, they just kind of go along with it because of fear, really. And we've all seen how levels of fear have been ramped up, and then all you need to do to add into the mix is a little bit of propaganda, which gets everybody sort of buying into what the conspiracy is pushing, i.e. a lurgy-demic, and that fear factor is ramped up. I better sort of get the latest, one of those in there. I've got to get obey all the rules, not just because I'm fearful of the authorities and the sort of fines and other sanctions they might sort of put upon me, but because I'm afraid of what the propaganda is telling me to be afraid of. So I think they are the reasons why, not only are sort of such conspiracies possible, but highly probable. So I think if we're going to get away from these so-called conspiracies from ever happening again, we really need to change the way our organisations are run and set up. We need to get away from the hierarchical, pyramidical sort of structures, and really have kind of these things set up so that there's a lot more transparency. People right over here can see what these people are doing over here, at least an overview, and everybody else can sort of see what everybody else is doing and have access to that information. And that way, you just need to do that, and also keep a very close eye on the people right at the top, or the people running things, the more senior people. There should be more transparency there as well. What are their true motivations? Are they really working for the good of the organisation, or do they appear to be kind of listening to other sources outside the organisation, and they should be called out if that's suspected, and the means of being able to call them out should be relatively easy in these organisations. And that way, if things were set up like that, which they're not, and we all know they're not, then I may well sort of believe what this guy in this letter was saying, that it would be absolutely impossible to carry out any kind of conspiracy because too many people would be involved in it. But until we have our organisations set up properly and in a more transparent way, believe you me, I do think that conspiracies are relatively easy to be carried out. So that's my thought on that, and but it's great to see the light and see that they're doing well. Such a fantastic source of information and truth, and like I say, link to it will be in the description box below. Do go and check them out if you haven't already, or if it's been a while since you've seen any, read their materials. And I'll just finish by reiterating what I said earlier. Really, who are the true extremists? Is it the Light newspaper, who welcome all kinds of people and all viewpoints? Or is it the mainstream media, who we all know, it's not really a conspiracy, we all know they're heavily involved with censorship? And I would suggest that any organisation involved in censorship are the true extremists. So I'll leave you with that thought, and I'll be back soon. Tim from Fair Play Now, thanks for watching.